For months, she was sex trafficked by one of the most dangerous traffickers in the country. Karla Solomon barely survived months of torture and what's known as modern slavery. But now that she's safe and alive, she's dedicated her life to telling her devastating but important story in hopes of saving lives. We want to warn you, this content may be disturbing to some viewers.
I was put in a situation where I felt that I had no body and no other choice.
Karla Solomon has been trafficked twice in her life, once as a child and once as an adult.
About 2 years old, I was taken from my mother. My mother was a drug addict.
At 12 years old, she met a 33-year-old woman who she thought cared about her.
She introduced me to smoking weed and doing drugs and introduced me to older men and started taking me to parties. And I ended up losing my virginity at one of these parties, and not by choice.
Soon the woman sold Solomon to men in exchange for drugs. It lasted a couple months until she broke free.
But that also started a cycle that whenever I would run away, I would have survival sex to have a place to stay or for a meal. For a chicken nugget meal at McDonald's, I would have to have sex with somebody.
Later in life, at 29 years old, she fell into the hands of a dangerous man.
He was completely doting on me, taking me to the most expensive hotel rooms and just spending the whole night pampering me, finding out all my hopes and dreams and aspirations.
She believed she was in a loving relationship.
My Prince Charming turned into a monster like that. He takes me to a hotel and he places an ad on Backpage, and he whispers in my ear and he kisses me on my neck and he tells me he just needs me to do it one time until he finds another girl, and I do it. But then I have to do it again and again and again, and before you know it, I have a $1,500 a day quota.
He took her from Texas to Louisiana to Colorado, where she finally called for help and tried to run.
I start getting text messages on my phone telling me I better come back. He sent me a video, and that's where my daughter gets on and off the bus. He told me, if you don't come back, I'm gonna take her and I'm gonna do the same thing to her.
He took her back to Texas, where police finally caught up to them and arrested Fox for the first time.
The police took me to the hospital. I had STDs, I had broken ribs, I was 100 pounds. I was addicted to methamphetamine. They diagnosed me with complex PTSD.
After another arrest, Fox took a plea deal and was sentenced to 30 years in prison. But back in Texas, Solomon struggled and even tried to take her life. But a friend stepped in, and her trauma suddenly became her recovery.
We started a ministry together. We just opened our first safe house for girls just like me. We're looking to expand.
At 33, she now lives with her loving husband and 3 children, working daily to save others like her.
There's this one girl that I've been working with, and she's left and came back and left and came back, and I get it. And she's finally made the decision, no, I'm not going back. And I mean, that was just the most beautiful.
Because you did.
Because I did that.
Her body now a symbol of her story.
The broken chains signify that, yes, I have been in slavery, but I broke them. I broke free in more ways than one. That is my freedom, and I'm obviously no longer for sale.
Powerful reporting there, Courtney. Karla's story, unfortunately, not unique. So many people might wonder, why do these victims not run away or try to get out of the situation?
Yeah, it's a really common question, and advocates are hoping people will understand so they don't have to ask that. Karla is a perfect example of this. This man built trust with her. He told her he loved her, isolated her from her family and loved ones. And then when he started that abuse, he, of course, as you saw in the story, threatened her family. And these people feel like they have nowhere else to go, and they don't want anyone else to be hurt by the situation they're in.
And we often think of women as being the targets of this, but this can be anybody.
Absolutely. And that's another thing that we need to understand is this can be young boys, young girls, men and women, and from all different backgrounds. I've learned that, main targets at first may be homeless on the street, even, foster children. But then, of course, they target people online now. They make those connections online, ask you to be friends, build relationships. and then that can turn into the same one. So it's important to be aware that who you're communicating with online it may be dangerous, and reach out if you are in trouble. So if someone you know is at risk or in danger, there are so many people in our community ready to help. The National Human Trafficking Hotline has been on the screen this entire time, 888-373-7888. And then on our website, at the bottom of this web story, there is an entire list of resources.
Thank you for sharing her story, Courtney.
Absolutely.